Always with the Pledge of Allegiance. We begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. We are all physically present, so I can do roll call verbally, right? Okay, all right, good. Roll call, Flint Nelson, Chair here. Steve McKesson, Vice Chair.
Here.
Bob Marnett,
Present.
Greg Irvine.
Here.
Julie Johnson,
Here.
Mick Gaska, and Constantine is our alternate. He is either on Zoom
Probably
or,
working towards the next meeting.
you think?
I think
Yeah,
so.
You think he's got a little on his mind?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So we do not need to seat Constantine. Is it Constantine or Tim?
Constantine.
Constantine? Okay. I'm used to seeing an E on the end with Constantine, but it's okay. So we do not need to seat alternates. And I will just announce for a moment here that it is great to see Mig in person. Mig, we appreciate very much all the time you spend by attending on Zoom from off in a galaxy far, far away. But it's nice to have you here and your contributions. Thank you very much.
Always fun.
Yeah. Okay. Are there any, item 5, are there any additions, deletions, or amendments to the agenda? Start with staff.
No amendments.
Everything's good?
Everything's good.
Okay. Any members of the committee have any additions or deletions? Okay, all good. So we can approve the agenda. I'm looking for a motion to approve the agenda. I'll second. Moved by Julie, seconded by Flint to approve the agenda. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. Okay. Public comment. We got anything?
We have no members of the public.
Okay.
No, I don't.
No written communication, so we will move right on to item number 8, approval of the minutes. All of you have had an opportunity to review the minutes that Therese and her team have so thoughtfully prepared for us. Are there any suggestions or corrections to the minutes? And if not, I'm looking for a motion.
No corrections?
Huh?
No correct.
Looks good.
None? Is there a motion to approve the minutes? Mig moves. Is there a second?
You second?
Okay.
Anybody second?
So Bob seconds. All those in favor of approving the minutes say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, no. Minutes are unanimously approved. Comments and requests. So this will start with you, Jake, General Manager, 9A.
I don't really have anything today. I think we can move on right into the agenda. I think we've got a full packed day full of information, so nothing too exciting to report. I did let the board members know yesterday we had a leak out on Highway 76. We think maybe a little less impactful than we initially feared. The leak ended up occurring outside of Highway 76. You'll see us right in front of 7-Eleven if you drive by there in Olive Hill, the intersection there. But yeah, leak ended up being outside of 76. Doesn't appear to be any real significant damage. And so, yeah, I think my comment was, I think we dodged a bullet a little bit on that one.
Good.
But yeah, crews are out there today, fixing that leak.
Where on 76?
Right at the intersection with Olive Hill. Camino del Rey, Olive Hill, right there. Yep.
Speaking about leaks, when I came in last night, Wilt from Retchie, a couple of bends up, I saw water running in the street. It looked like it was percolating up.
Hmm.
And I thought maybe it was just somebody local, but I had to make a run into Temecula this morning, came down the street and it was still running.
Yeah, we actually have a couple of leaks going on. We've got, over the next I think for the remainder of the week, we've got 3 or 4, nothing terribly significant,
Yeah.
but we've got the crews mobilized, 3 or 4 different kind of minor shutdowns that are going to occur, and we'll be out repairing leaks. So yeah, they popped up a little bit over the last week or so. Yeah.
Do you get the regular emails from Robert, about,
Mhm.
okay, so you saw
Yeah.
the one that came in this
Yeah.
morning? Okay, okay. Did none of those locations covered? Because I just,
Mm.
okay, all right.
Okay.
Okay,
Question, did the earthquake happen?
Nothing apparent.
Yeah.
It's actually been really quiet, the last, really couple months. We haven't had anything major. The one out on 76 is kind of the first one in a little bit. But no, nothing, nothing structural, nothing, nothing related to that. Sometimes I've seen that in the past where you'll have a decent earthquake and then you see a spring of leaks happen. It seems like this little string is kind of happening much after it. I don't think it's related to the earthquake. And sometimes,
okay. Anything else, Jake? You're done?
no, I'm done.
Any questions or comments for Jake? All right, we'll move on to 9B, Engineering and CIP Program Manager comments. Chad?
As Jake said, we'll keep it kind of light so that we can get through this abbreviated meeting. We are working with our contractor USG at the Hutton and Rainbow Heights tanks. Both are offline, getting interior recoats. And with the emergency County Water Authority shutdown scheduled for June 1st, our contractor and our inspector out there, both tanks will be back online prior to that shutdown so that we'll be able to have as much storage in our system as possible. And yeah, working with the finance department a lot, preparing for the next meeting after this one.
Something struck me because you guys had both announced at the last meeting that you were working very hard to get those tanks back up and serviceable before the shutdown, right? And just a goofy question, but there's no, for whatever cleaning or painting or coating they're doing, that there is no curing time or anything like that
There is.
that could potentially be a hiccup for us.
There is that. Yeah. Always have to factor that in. They have to do some VOC testing and things like that before you can actually put water back in
Yeah.
the tank.
What is DOC?
VOC, it's in the paint. It's
Okay.
Yeah.
The fumes.
To make sure that's not there's nothing seeping into they've regulated the coating so much now where the VOC is nearly negligent, but you have to do those things. So there is a window there
That's
that
built.
all that has to occur ahead of putting the tank back in service. So that's all factored in.
Okay.
All built into the schedule.
All right, Chad, they finished about 4 days ago. They've hauled everything away. They still left their funny little sign out on the fence with their
At
guy
Hudson?
dressed in,
The PPE
Everything.
sign.
Yeah.
yeah, but nobody's been there for 4 days. They hauled all of their white, huge containers of whatever.
Okay.
Out.
I was talking with our inspector this morning and he was at that location. So they're still working on the inside of the tank, but that's good that they're hauling some stuff
I
away.
don't know
probably
what
saw
they're
'em.
Doing, nobody's there.
You
No
probably saw them
trucks,
hauling
no
away the
nothing.
spent grit.
Yeah.
That's what they use to strip the tanks. That's usually the spent grit that they haul away.
Yeah, so they usually had 4 or 5 guys working.
Okay. That's it.
Okay. All right. Was that it, Chad?
Yes.
Any comments, questions for Chad? Moving right along, operations. Roberto is not with
busy.
us. He's busy?
Yep.
With all those shutdowns and whatever. Okay, so we'll skip operations. And we go to committee member comments. Any committee members? Bob,
Okay, this is the follow-up on the strewn up wood and the
Oh, yeah.
tree outside of the Hutton tank. I have personally removed 2,400 pounds of that wood
Oh, my goodness.
into 12 green barrels. And there's probably another 1,800 pounds that I've got to cut up. It's gotten so big, I have to cut it in pieces to pick it up. I mean, it's huge. So once I finish that, all of the regular burnable wood will be gone, but there's still a bunch of burnt wood laying
From the fire.
from the fire on the ground and the horribly ugly tree.
Yeah.
So SDGE did nothing.
They haven't done anything. I know we were reaching out to them. I'll have to check to see what the status on that is.
They've been paying, I forgot the guy, the big outfit that does all their trees
Like Davy or
every
something.
Davy, every year or two to trim it. And Davey is only too glad to trim it and not cut it down because it's just a continuous gravy train.
Yeah.
Any other comments, questions?
You call it, they did a heck of a good job, whacking down the weeds and everything on the, tank, Gila hydrant,
Oh, Palamesa, out of
yeah,
Palamesa.
Palamesa,
Yeah.
yeah, they did a really good job there.
Awesome. I'll report that back.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Anything else? Anybody else?
At least Rainbow cleans up their mess, huh?
Yeah.
Mine's pre-burnt. They don't do any cutting on it.
Okay, item number 10, board action updates. This is our ongoing feedback loop to find out what the board did with items that the committee referred to it at the prior meeting. And usually, Chad, you give us that. So you got anything?
Yeah, I was absent for the meeting. However, the board did take action on the approval of the reallocation of funds. And special thanks to this committee for its recommendation. After the last E&O meeting, staff went back and reevaluated all of the disciplines and did agree with the committee's suggestion to deduct a little bit more out of that civil engineering and reallocate. So that went, and Jake, you presented on it, and I think it was reported back. It approved.
Yeah.
No discussion. So
Yeah.
yeah, thank you to the committee for that recommendation.
Great.
Yeah, I'll, one other item that was on the board, agenda, and it didn't come to the committee, but I think it relates to E&O to some degree, operations, no doubt. The board approved an agreement with Fallbrook on interconnections. It's a, kind of a broad-based agreement on, we share a common border, we share pipelines that, are near each other's. And so it kind of sets all the parameters for providing interconnected, and it could be for anything, whether it's supply, during, peak demands or, whatever is going on. Aqueduct shutdowns is a great example, but also even key areas where when we have main breaks, and this is on both sides of the line, right? Main breaks and things like that. And we have areas that are prone to larger customer outages, providing some interconnections there. So anyways, so the board approved that. We actually have one interconnection that's being constructed now under that agreement. That's the King Ridge. It's a tie-in between two 20-inch pipelines, one owned by Rainbow, one owned by Fallbrook. And really two benefits to this one. One is it really backs up to some degree, not at the full capacity of Connection 8, but it backs up Connection 8 to some degree, which will be shut down as part of this aqueduct coming June 1st. The benefit on the Fallbrook side, they have some water quality issues there. So potentially in the winter, we may take some water from them to help out, just move water through their system. It's a large pipeline that's got limited demand on it. And so some mutual benefit there, but really nice to get that interconnect agreement in place and kind of allow us to, strengthen both of our systems. So that was a board action as well.
So we'll be taking their water
Well,
in that instance that you just cited.
with the aqueduct shutdown, correct.
Okay.
Correct.
And so how are you guys going to track that?
Well, it's metered. We'll have a
We'll have meter.
revenue grade meter on it, and then the exchange happens actually through Eastern, because we're both buying water from Eastern. Basically, we're just going to report to Eastern, and they do a
Okay.
swap on the bill.
Good.
Yeah. So it keeps all the numbers straight, both in our books and Eastern's books.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. This agreement is just strictly water. It's just a water agreement.
Strictly water. Yeah.
Okay.
We have no way to get wastewater to them
Yeah.
currently.
But this was set up just as an overarching agreement, right?
Correct.
To deal with water.
Correct.
And so you do something like that in the future, assuming at some point you were to do something with wastewater.
You certainly could do that. Yeah. You could, we have an existing agreement with Oceanside.
Yeah.
To that end, but
Right.
yeah.
Okay.
So it's a ways uphill though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Yeah.
Chad, just want to be sure that we are also, or maybe I had a misunderstanding, which is always possible. At the last committee meeting, when we discussed the size of the civil engineering pot or pots, My recollection from the notes is that as a bring back for the next E&O, which is not this one, but probably the next one, is that we were going to take a look at what those civil engineering projects were. I think when I raised that, I was primarily interested to see if we are going to be using the as needed to move forward our agenda on pipeline replacement rehab. And are we good with that?
Yep, the table's ready. It's just
Okay,
on deck for the next meeting. And
Great.
it won't just show civil. What we did is we're applying all, if it is going to require legal action, if it's going to require environmental, the table will be showing everything.
good.
Yep.
Great. Thank you.
Rob,
Guys are going a bridge further.
we
Thank you.
tried, we tried.
Not too far, just further. Okay. Item number 11. Discussion and possible action regarding committee membership. And Rodney is here. Hello. Rodney has attended a number of our committee meetings. I think one by in person, couple by Zoom. So you've been trotting the path, which we appreciate. And so there is a calendar item today to acknowledge that and to recommend to the board that Rodney be appointed to this committee. Rodney, do you have anything you'd like to say to us? We'd love to hear from you.
I'll keep this brief. I've been in this business for over 40 years. A lot of different dimensions, finance, risk assessment, marketing. And so I think I have an interesting mix of skills to bring to the table. And no secret, my wife's the director. I'd like to make her as successful as I am, this district as successful as possible. I think you have a great opportunity here. Got new management, great job. And there's opportunities that I see to continue to pick up your word to the next bridge.
Perfect.
Okay?
Well, thank you. I personally am hopeful that the committee will vote to recommend you. I think you would be a great addition. And it would be a great thing to get some more experienced brain power on this committee. And you seem to have that, and Lord knows we need all the help we can get. So we'll take it. And that's just expressing my view. Is there any discussion here among the committee members? Then if not, it's a vote. All those, is there a motion to add Rodney? Mig moves. Second. Okay, Greg, you got it. Greg seconds. And so if there is no further discussion, all those in favor of recommending the board appoint Rodney, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. There are none. It's unanimous. Thank you. You know, it is not very often that we get someone who is willing not just to serve, but to put in the time and the energy and the effort and the dedication to support this district. And so for that, on behalf of some of the committee here, I just want to thank you for your willingness to do that. We look forward to working with you, and we hope we have some successful outcomes. Okay. All right.
Appreciate that.
Yes. Because there's no pay for this position, right? So, yeah.
I was gonna say, I have some tasks available.
You don't even get free water, Rodney. So, you know.
Lunch once a year.
Right.
Okay, so the next one is an interesting one. Consider approval of a change order for Adura for engineering support services, and it applies district-wide. So Chad, I guess that's you?
Yes.
Okay,
All right. So this goes back to 2022 when the district's associate engineer left the district for a different agency. In the interim, the district brought on Ardura to provide the ongoing developer plan checks that are going on throughout the district. And since that time, since 2022, Ardura has and continues to provide an excellent level of service to the district and its ratepayers. The district did recruit for this vacant engineering position that was conducted in the spring of 2024. It did not produce any viable candidates. It was open for quite some time. The Human Resources Department, my department, the General Manager's Department all reviewed it. I don't even believe anyone was brought in for an actual interview during that time. And so we pulled the application. It was also during the time when we were doing the same series of workshops coming up for the fiscal year, and in an effort to not increase rates and cut the overall budget down, I can't remember the exact percentage, we ultimately chose to freeze the position within the engineering department, and it remains frozen to this date. Sidebar to Steve's comment of, wow, I just sat in the month of April on an interview panel for Fallbrook Public Utilities District for an associate engineer position. I think they call it engineering technician. It was open for several months. They received many applications, of which less than a dozen were of caliber to
Minimum qualified.
Yeah, to, all right, what do you think? Of those, we'll call it dozen, 3 were eligible for an interview, of which 1 person showed up for the interview. So it's not just Rainbow. This is
Did they make the hire?
I have not followed up, but I told them if they didn't, we were going to contact that person. And the information was not forwarded my way. But the candidate interviewed extremely well. Unfortunately, there was no comparison. But yeah, so I met with their general manager and their engineering manager after, just for a quick debrief, and we're all feeling this exact same thing right now. And I followed up with Jake and Carlene after all of that, so we're all on that. So that's just kind of a sidebar for that.
Chad, are they short the education requirements? Is that the primary problem?
I'm gonna, you kick me or interrupt me or anything. It's not so much education shortage. What it is the people that are currently employed in the private sector, this is considered a pay decrease. They're just going to make less money. The private sector is much more lenient / flexible on a remote work schedule, whereas the public sector is we're still have hybrid schedules and flexible work schedules, but private, they can be based out of anywhere, so it doesn't really matter. They're making more money. And the requirements that we want as highly desirable, some years of experience, all of this, and Carlene I can see her on the call. Carlene can attest this far better than I can. The jobs just do not pay enough. If you want someone who is seasoned with 3 to 5 years worth of experience, they want to come in beyond our topped out values.
Yeah, I think about 6 out of 61 applicants actually had a PE. And those were very new. Most of them, there were a handful of EITs, but they were just either fresh out of school, from out of the country or out of the state, or wanted to make, more than the department manager makes. So that's kind of the hurdles that we came up with in soliciting applicants.
I don't think you're going to get a PE for the salary you have listed in the online document, but you might get someone who just passed the EIT.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The person that interviewed has not,
yeah.
is an EIT, has not passed their test.
Chad, do you like Adora? Do they do a good job?
Absolutely.
Do they do all of the things that would otherwise be done by a hired employee as a contract
They do.
employee? Have you done an analysis to see if in fact the Adora contract would actually save the district money to provide those services than a full-time employee?
We have. And
And what are the results of that?
Carlene, could you speak to that?
Yeah, I think that's actually in the memo. So if we were to hire a full-time employee, it would cost us, let's see, it would cost us about $240,000
Actually,
for a full-time employee, and that would mostly be charged to the operating budget. And the Ardura contract, because it's billed mostly to developers, only about $7,000 has been charged to the operating budget since we started using them in 2022. So, so significant change or impact to the operating budget.
Well, I'm good with it then.
Yeah, I'll say, just to kind of give you a little forward look, kind of what we're looking at moving forward. We have a lot of ongoing projects, and so that this is kind of a business continuity request here. Several developments that are kind of in the middle of plan check, or that have been ongoing for quite some time. We extended this contract for 18 months, so taking us out to January 1, 27. And so I think when we revisit our staffing next year, I think we'll probably be taking, because at the same time, July 1, 2026, we anticipate a bigger CIP budget, more design projects coming, and those kind of things. I think eventually we do want to recruit, whether it is an EIT, and we do want to have an engineer on staff. But we want to make sure it's not these things. These can be very cyclical, right? These develop. So if that falls off and you don't really have enough, it's just not cost effective. And so this kind of ensures we're just spending what we need up until that point. But I think in the next year, we'll probably be looking at, again, bringing somebody if the market shifts and we're able to get somebody with experience, great. If not, we'd probably go with a younger staff, and me and Chad would just bear the load of bringing that person up to speed and kind of growing a good district employee. So that's kind of the future look on this. But
and I just realized that I misspoke on the total cost. So the total cost would be about 240,000, but about 140 of that is what would hit the operating budget, and the rest would be charged to CIP or to developers and CIP. So, so that's the ratio.
Yeah. So, anyways, that's where we're at.
I have a question, and it may have been covered already. Obviously, if we had a hired employee, it would be 100%. What is the percent of service that we are right now having with this for someone doing the work?
Like an FTE equivalent?
Yeah.
Is it 100? Is it a
Yes,
40-hour
thank you.
job, or is it a?
Yeah, what is it?
Yeah, and my question was gonna be, so they have surge capability, if there's an increase in the tasking according to the different jobs.
Yeah, so Carlene, you interrupt me if I misspeak. I believe they are replacing the full-time employee. We are not, there's no missing any steps of this. So what our full-time employee was doing, Ardura is now doing that wholly. So it is that equivalent.
Surge capability.
Surge capability, yes. So we primarily have a single point of contact over there, have ever since this project started. We are one of 15 clients, both cities and water districts, that Ardura provides this exact service for. A lot of those have their own engineering staff members. They still do this for them. And in the most recent application with Ocean Breeze Ranch coming up, and why this change order amount is in the amount it is, that is our surge right now. The plans are hundreds of pages and they need a 2-week turnaround, and Ardura is keeping up with it with absolutely no gap in error.
So they have the manpower capability to
Yes.
handle
Bring another
that
person on.
surge.
Yes.
Don't bring those up.
And then vice versa.
Yeah.
It dies off completely.
And then-
We don't receive an invoice.
Yeah.
Mm.
Off
Yes.
Off payroll. So
Yes.
what's the rate?
I don't have the actual rate. The whole engineering team
Yeah.
is in here, but what we did when we first set this up in 2022, and this change order amends their PSA. They have not raised their rates in quite a while. So when I just met with them, they asked, is this the appropriate time to do so? Which it is. But we're not being charged by the hour. We're being charged a flat rate per sheet. So on the
Oh, per
first
sheet.
plan check,
Okay.
on plan check number 1, the fee is higher because they're taking first glance at it. And then every resubmittal thereafter, if there are any, that fee goes down. But the district's position was, whether this is going to take you 1 hour or 20 hours, we want a flat fee because we're charging the developers
Right.
deposits. And so that's how it's been structured.
And where is this company based?
Ardura is technically out of Poway. The person that we work with, Dolores Salgado, is out of Bakersfield.
Is there any risk well, it would be, I guess it would be internally too as well. Single point of failure. I think it would probably be less with a contract company
Correct.
because they can cover each other
Correct.
versus than
Yeah.
a staff.
That's an excellent question / point. So our point of contact, she is not servicing the other 14 accounts. It might be some of those. And so, yeah, it's just like when we contract out our inspection.
Mhm.
If our inspector goes on PTO, I am now the district's inspector.
Right.
Whereas if we consult out and that person goes on PTO, we're getting another qualified. That's on them. So yeah, great point.
That was a good question. So from a risk standpoint, I mean, they've got all their E&O insurance and all that.
Yes.
We're covered.
Yeah, but we put it in the message that the level of service has surpassed any district staff's expectations on what they've provided thus far.
Do you see this as a trend that will continue throughout the industry because of the fact of the benefits of working with a company versus hiring an individual?
I don't
Or
know.
is-
I have heard that it is extremely difficult to fill the in-house engineer positions at public agencies across the state, not just water agencies, but cities, counties. This is a very, very tough to fill position, and specifically competition with the private sector is one of the primary hurdles that the industry is seeing.
Thank you.
The implication in the write-up is that these guys are used for drawing, checking. What about straight design of things? We don't do that anymore at all? Or
Not
does it all fall on Jay?
the design of, say, a capital improvement project in my tenure here has never happened at Rainbow. That has always been outsourced to a third-party civil firm.
Even when we had an in-house engineer, we outsourced it.
Correct. Yeah, before my time. So yeah.
Okay. I
Which
just
is
thought
pretty-
maybe it's handy to have a guy around if you're going to design.
Yeah. Well, and that could be something in the future, but typically because most of our designs have so many different facets, right? Structural, mechanical, civil, typically no matter what,
Electrical.
most districts usually set up as your engineers are mostly project managers, right? Making sure you're protecting the district, giving guidance, those kind of things. But the actual production of drawings and things like that typically happens outside because hiring drafters and land surveyors
Right.
and it just isn't, we don't have enough work to keep them busy, right? So that's typically how it works. You'll see some variation, but yeah.
I was just thinking in terms of having someone with the kind of education around can keep you from making bad decisions.
That's what they do pay me for. Yes.
Yeah.
Engineer.
But it all falls on you then.
The buck
For
stops
Us.
there.
All of the
Us.
technical trades end up in your lap.
Well, it's more than me. Robert Gutierrez is very good. Chad is very good. All of us together provide that, provide that kind of protection for the district for sure.
All right.
Yeah.
We good? If,
It's up to you.
are there any other comments?
Nope.
I just have one. And first of all, I'm fine with this recommendation, fine with it. In fact, I think this kind of work, because of its ebb and flow, it's perfectly good to use a consultant for it. I just want to make an editorial observation. I have lived in Fallbrook for 11, 12 years. I've come to know a lot of people here, and especially business owners in downtown Fallbrook. People live near me that run businesses. We have people here that are wage earners trying to make a living and support their families. And I think, and I'm sure they don't know, but I think that they would be stunned to hear that a plain vanilla, run-of-the-mill engineer requires $250,000. That's money that these families would never see. And there's nothing, I guess, that can be done about it, but it is stunning. I think a ratepayer would be stunned to hear that we're in a position where we would have to pay something north of $250,000 for a straight up straight no chaser engineer. That's stunning. It's just stunning to me. And I am also, I guess, gratified, but disturbed to hear. I think it was Kathleen, you may have said it. Carleen, I'm sorry, Carleen, you may have said it, that that other agencies, Chad, I think you said it too, that other agencies, government agencies are finding themselves behind the eight ball because of these frankly exorbitant salaries that are being paid out to people that are doing fairly regular and routine work. And I just find, so I'm just, on behalf of the ratepayers, because I am one, I am stunned to hear that that's the kind of freight that we're being asked to carry. That's just stunning to me. It's a lot of money. It's a lot of money.
And we couldn't even fill it at that.
What?
That's correct. We couldn't
Fill
even.
it at that.
Yeah, right. So, is there a motion?
So moved.
Okay,
Second.
okay, it's been moved by Greg, seconded by Julie, that we recommend to the board that they move forward with the staff recommendation here. And if there's no further discussion of this, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. And it carries unanimous. Okay. $250,000. Okay, the next item on the agenda is the as-needed services expenditures summary. I saw there's only one piece of yellow on there, a little $1,400.
Recon.
Was that a add-on to what we were doing at the Morrow tank?
It is because we are in the bird nesting season.
Oh.
And so we had to have a biologist go out there and survey for
That's what BN means? Bird nesting?
Yeah.
I wondered what that meant.
We have a 3-inch 3-ring binder of our acronyms.
And that's great. You keep it. And and we're not looking at a $60,000 bird here, the
No,
way we did on that other project?
no, knock on wood.
Okay.
No birds have been found thus far.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, the Rice Canyon pipeline, that was the first gnat catcher in 10 years. We found it.
What project was that?
That was the 18-inch for Rice Canyon.
Rice Canyon, yeah, the $60,000 bird. It was
male-
one bird,
One
right?
male bird looking for
One
a mate.
male bird.
Yeah.
Wow.
First one in 10 years in this area.
When was the last time you knew a male worth $60,000? Think about that. Okay, so that's it. And otherwise, everything's in order on the as needed, right?
Yes.
Okay. Item number 14, suggested items for the next meeting. Well, I know we're gonna have the
Mhm.
as needed design program.
The table of.
Yep,
Yes.
Yep, as needed projects, right?
Yep.
Okay,
Well, I want to make sure I'm clear. The table that shows like what we'll have civil, what we'll have environmental. Are we talking the same thing?
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
but we're focused on what we are using as neededs for.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
Okay, that's why. So my focus is on as needed and what work are we wringing out of them for the benefit of the district?
Yep.
Okay, all right. Are there any other topics for the next meeting that anyone here can think of?
Ask real quick.
Okay.
Coffee.
The manual transfer switch is out to bid, so we may be reviewing those bid results in June.
That's the safety project, right?
Safety project.
Big
yep.
safety
For the
project.
electric.
How many locations are we covering in that?
3.
Good. So we got them all bundled
This,
up.
this
We're
is the
gonna try to-
last of the 3.
But we're gonna campaign it, try to get
Just
it
one bid, correct.
pushed through.
It
Good.
is on Planet Bids as we speak.
Good.
It opens May 29th. So,
Does the contract, does the,
well, so we'll know, the E&O will know how many we received. I don't know if we'll have vetted and found an apparent low by then.
did our scope of work contemplate the fact that they would be potentially proceeding on all 3 headings simultaneously, or is this gonna be sequential?
So we wrote it to where the Morrow pump station must go last. And that's to avoid the summer peak plus the 20-day shutdown and all of those things. They can do the other 2 together. They can do them in either order, but Morrow must go last is the only way we wrote that spec.
All right, so we've got the manual switches, hopefully.
Yeah, so the E&O, as we've done in the past, will have the memo written, but it'll have the draft watermark on it because we won't know the contractor's
Right.
dollar amount yet.
Right. Any-
Master plan, possibly also June,
Yeah, I was gonna say an update on our
Yeah,
project.
when's that due?
the RFPs, that's coming at the end of May as well.
Mm,
So we'll, whether we're reviewing them or where we are, but there'll definitely be an update on the master plan.
will the RFP for the master plan be circulated for review?
It is on Planet Bids. We could have Therese send that link if you would like to see it.
I just remember that in the past, when we were doing RFPs, typically the draft RFP came to the committee for a review. I can remember several that we did that with. It may have predated both of you, and so you didn't
Perhaps.
know. It would be nice, if possible, when you can, for a draft to circulate.
Yeah, and certainly when we review, when those proposals come in, if you have, typically we provide those before we execute those contracts, right?
Mhm.
Both the committee and the board
Mhm.
sees things. So if you have comments, those are
Mhm.
things we can adjust during the contract formation.
It could be
Period,
too that
Yeah.
that process of circulating the draft of the RFP was undertaken at a time when, let's just say, we were having difficulty getting good outcomes.
Mm.
And there were a cadre of us who were trying very hard to help the district
Improve the outcome.
improve the
Okay.
outcome. And perhaps we're past that now. I don't know, but I always liked being able to look at an RFP
Yeah.
before it.
And I know we did do that once. Oh, no, I guess that was the proposals. That was we weren't gonna have time to bring, I remember we were in a rush.
I know what
We
you're
did
saying,
that
yeah.
once because we weren't gonna be able to make it to E&O and we needed to get it to the board and we sent out the invitation. I think we have done that once. But certainly, yeah, we're open to your comments when those come in.
Okay, so otherwise, unless there's more business here to be done, I think it's a motion to adjourn. And is everybody in favor of adjourning? All those in favor? Aye. All right, QED, let's quit and eat dinner. Quite literally,
Here we go.
quite literally.
While we're sitting here, Chad, the process after they